we have to redefine trauma, recognize that trauma is any contraction, any pulling away from an event. The more obvious trauma, the kind of trauma where there's an assault and then you forget it, but especially when a memory hits you and you know it's true, but it's been 20, 25 years or something like that since you had it. So that level of complexity in post-traumatic stress is probably underestimated. So being shouted at as an infant, for instance, there is a pulling away, an energetic. Look at it as energetics. So the shout at an infant at an energetic level creates a collapse of atoms within the child, within the fascial network. As those atoms collapse, they take with them a like a GPS marker. So they take time, location, and identity marker with them. Now, if that never releases, if it never comes back until adult life, let's say, so we're working with fascia movers and we get energy moving in and we get the sacred geometry restored and we get flow. As we get that, the GPS coordinate, the time, the date, and the identity is released. So it's quite natural that when that hits the brain, and then the brain translates that. But what is hitting the brain is an identity of the individual aspect that was itself the one that pulled back. So in pre-verbal trauma, for instance, there'll be no understanding or ability to communicate what that is, because it's going to be experienced as a pre-verbal you, and then you'll express whatever that means to you. And I was in my mid-30s. Yeah, I was in my mid-30s when I suddenly remembered that event. And then from that triggered other memories that I had to go speak to people. I had to check with them, make sure I wasn't going through false memories. But especially when a memory hits you and you know it's true, but it's been 20, 25 years or something like that since you had it. I think the point with fascia, a lot of the point for me that people are missing, we're looking at fascia as this, fascia contains this third and fourth state of water, and it's in a gel and so on and so forth. And the fascia does this and the fascia does that. We're missing that consciousness is primary. There is no experience outside of consciousness. And consciousness as a not two, as a single thing, a single loving infinite intelligence. It manifests, its primary manifestation is through fascia. So when we look at fascia and say it's this gel-like state, it's the other way around. Gel-like states are what come from fascia. Water is a state of fascia. We're not looking at it in its primary role. So, but there's even so if we start with consciousness and say that consciousness is the potential, and then outside of that, it is first expressed and manifest through energy, and that energy then forms or appears to form the fascia and everything else from that. So even from the zygote, when there's this cell replication, one, into two cells and then four, they begin to spiral, just like a seed that's time-lapse speeding up, watching the seed search for the sun. It's exactly the same in the human embryo. And then that goes into then form structures, and that first structure will be the heart as an organ, which is as a spiral as well. And then that's mimicked through the body. So everything we do requires spiral, it requires torsion, it requires rotation. Everything is a spiral, right down to the smallest thing you can imagine.